Hey, thanks for joining me today. It's good to see you. I'm Jerrel, a normal human being. This is Sungrand. We can hang out here. So, my YouTube feed is flooded with videos right now that are sort of spinning their wheels and they're saying, oh, Nintendo rumors and Switch 2 news, but there's no actual content because there isn't any actual new Nintendo Switch 2 news right now. And obviously, I don't want to criticize and attack anyone and saying, oh, you're just sort of um, not saying anything for however long the video is. And that's kind of a bummer. I don't want to be a bummer. So there is no new Switch 2 news right now, it looks like. People are just sort of throwing rumors out there, but there doesn't seem to be anything interesting. There's nothing interesting to talk about today with the Switch 2. It's about 2 weeks away from launching, so instead of making stuff up about the Switch 2, instead of just repeating rumors, I'm not going to talk about the Switch 2. Instead, I'm going to share with you some stuff that I think is pretty interesting. These are antique instruments that I'm going to share with you today from the 1800s. Now, this one that you're going to see is extremely rare. There are very few of these types of instruments left in the world. This, and it's not like a creepy doll in a coffin, I promise. These come from the 1800s. Now, this one in particular comes from the 1850s to 1860s, but this one most likely the 1850s. Let's go ahead and have a look at what it looks like. Okay, I said it wasn't a coffin, but it has a lining like a coffin. Right, so this is called a table violin, or a table fiddle. Now, what's so interesting about this is a normal fiddle, you sort of sit under your neck and you play like that. This one you cannot play like that. This is called a table fiddle or a table violin because you set it on the table and you play it like a violin. Now, this comes from Germany. When I won this in an auction and had it sent from Germany, it was in pieces. So I did the research, which was very difficult to do because there is not a lot of information about this particular instrument, and I restored it myself. One of my favorite hobbies is to collect antique instruments, particularly from the 1800s, to restore them and to make them playable. I know it's going to sound funny because my primary job is game developer. You would think that I'm playing games all day long, but I don't actually play video games that much. Unfortunately, when I buy a new game, something I'm really excited or interested in, I really only have time to play it like an hour or two. Uh, and I think, oh, cool, I enjoyed this game, but I don't really have that much time to play games because I'm so busy with my own work. And to be honest, I don't want to be staring at video games all day long. They're fun, but it gets boring if all you do is play video games. So I spend the majority of my time doing other things, and the majority of my friends don't even play video games. We share hobbies and different interests. So this is one of my favorite things, is finding obscure antique instruments, restoring them and making them playable. And then I like to go places and play these for people. I did a little show a couple months back, and I had like 14 obscure instruments, and the audience was just staring the whole time, and I was worried. I was thinking, are these guys bored? Why are they so quiet? They're just staring at me, talking and playing these obscure instruments. And then the organizers of the show that I played, for like weeks afterwards, they were telling me, hey, we've never seen our audience so quiet before. They were just so transfixed by these instruments because they're cool, they're interesting. To see something you've never seen before is so fascinating to me. So the way this is played, you set this on an instrument. This would have been used in pubs in Germany. You set it on the table and you fret the strings thusly, and you would use a violin bow. So you play like this, and you sit and you drink your German beer, glug, 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 yum, 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 and you play like this. Now, the reason why this did not catch on, there's many instruments that are quite experimental from the 1800s and early 1900s that went extinct, and we say extinct because they basically fall out of common knowledge. Luthiers stopped making them, people stopped playing them, and then people anyone that knows about them ends up dying, and then they don't pass the knowledge on, that instrument is extinct. This instrument is almost extinct, but by sharing it, I'm kind of hoping I can inspire you to contact your local luthier, find your local luthier, tell them about, hey, can you look up table violins, table fiddles? Can you build a table fiddle for me? So what's so great about these instruments is that they are fretted, which means they have frets. With the violin, with the fiddle, with the cello, you have to be precise. I think violin players will probably be laughing. I just excluded the viola. I didn't mention the viola at all. Ha ha ha, very funny. You have to be very precise. Your fingers need to be in the exact right places to produce the correct tones. With this instrument, because there are frets like a guitar, you do not need to be 100% precise with your finger placement, but it also means it's easier to do things like chord shapes. Now, what's so interesting about this configuration, it's tuned like a violin, G, D, A, E. The problem is that it's reversed. The higher pitch string is closer to you, the lower pitch string is farther away. And the reason being is because this is how German zithers are tuned. And German zithers, which I will show you in a moment, have the same string configuration, but they have a bigger body with many other strings to play. This would have been created so it could be used in German pubs so that when people are playing their zither, someone can play the table fiddle. Now this went extinct. This did not catch on because it is extremely uncomfortable to play. I've used this a bit, and your fretting hand, because of the position, because of the downward force you have to push, you start getting a repeated stress injury. It started feeling like I was getting RSI just because of the placement. And then you have your right hand, which does the bow like this. But the problem is, this needs to sit on the table, but it's very difficult to get the angle right for the strings because the bow will actually bump into the table. So it's very difficult. And then you have this one here as well. So it's the middle two strings you can do fine, but it's the top and the bottom strings. The bow will end up bumping into the table, and it makes it very difficult to play, which is quite frustrating. So in order to play this, I actually have it dangling off the edge of the table a fair bit. And that way, the bow can sit off the edge of the table, and that I can bow that. I have had a soundbox table built specifically for my zither instruments so I can play them, and the soundbox does amplify them as well. So this is a German table violin, table fiddle, extremely rare. Again, I will put the video at the end of this. I'll put the video and you can hear this. So next, let's go ahead and take a look at a German zither. So this one is from about 1850, extremely rare. Again, if you can, ask your local luthier, reach out, ask them if they could build you a table violin. And let's bring it back, man. I'm feeling it. You know, Sony let the PS Vita die, and the world let table violins die. Let's bring it back. Whoa, this is quite heavy. So this instrument is significantly younger than the table violin. This one comes from 1880, thereabouts, this particular one. So, wow, it's just a beautiful old case. Of course, this is the beautiful original case. This comes from Germany. There's a bit of repairing I need to do on the case itself. Have a look at this gorgeous embroidered cover here. I am shocked and amazed because this is green and it's not being picked up by the green screen effect. It's not being keyed out. So that's pretty interesting. This smells like I'm traveling through time. It's really got something else, but it smells like it's been played in pubs for decades. Now, this is a German concert zither, and I want to be really careful with how I set this on my lap because the feet on these, this indicates the era as well. There's a bit of this plastic-like material, but there's a nail sticking out. Now the nail digs into a wooden table, digs into the timber of a table on the feet, and it holds it in place. It stops it from sliding around, but it also transmits the vibrations more readily. This instrument itself is not actually that loud, but it relies on transmitting its vibrations directly to the surface that is sitting on a wooden table. So this would have been used in German pubs. Again, if you would like to hear this, I'll put some music at the end of this video and you can hear it. History is interesting. Depending on which side of Germany that you're from, there's some different tunings. I have it, or CGDA actually, depending on where you are. So what you do is you play these strings here, and then you use your other fingers to play these other strings. I'll put some links in the description if you want to see these being played. I'm not quite good at playing this. I don't have a lot of time to increase my proficiency level on this instrument, as I'm actually playing a fair number of other instruments, and I'm sort of trying to save up my skill points for other instruments. So this one, I still need a fair bit of work learning. Now I'll try and give you a good close look at this. Now the maker's mark on this, we have our label. It says Edmund Paulus Mark Neukirchen Sachsen. Oh boy, I don't speak German. Have a look at that. The timbre is just beautiful, just fantastic. This is not one that I really had to do much work on doing. I cleaned it up a little bit, and there was a split at the bottom here, which I glued. Not a big deal. Again, I'll put some music at the end of the video. Now you can imagine just a bunch of people sitting around, people like you and me, sitting around a pub more than 100 years ago, 140 years ago, sitting in a pub. There's a bunch of them sitting around. They're playing this instrument. People are singing along. They're singing their favorite songs. And then there's one random guy who's sitting there with his table violin, and he's joining in, and he's trying to make it look like his hands don't hurt because of how uncomfortable the instrument is. So he's singing along. These are so interesting. So yeah, this one's from about 1880. Really fantastic. Just beautiful craftsmanship. Have a look at that. Really wonderful. You can learn how to play these. Go on eBay. You can find yourself concert zithers. They're really fun to play. They sound great. If you've got skill points to share, go ahead and learn one of these. I hope you enjoy taking a look at that. So yeah, I really enjoy learning about instruments. I want to know where they come from, where they were used, what happened to them. I like to share the history with these instruments, but I really just enjoy hearing different sounds. I incorporate them in my music for game development, for composing music. Making the music for my games is one of my favorite parts. This is a mandolin that comes from Czechoslovakia that I forgot that I had. I think I bought it 2 years ago when I was going to repair it, but then I've had other, I don't want to say cooler instruments, but I mean, they're way cooler. So I've had cooler instruments to work on that were just rare and interesting. And I was just digging through my storage this morning and I found this. I'm just going to go ahead and fix this today. There's a split here. So what I need to do is glue that, clamp it, let it settle, clean up all the metal parts, make sure it's structurally sound, and then I'm going to add some new strings on that. And then I'll make it playable. It's not going to be groundbreaking, you know, a mandolin of this type. I have stuff that are similar to this anyway, so I think I grabbed this on Facebook Marketplace for 20 bucks. It was broken. The person said they weren't going to do anything with it. So anyway, I'll be fixing that up. So hey, were these interesting to you? Let me know if you're interested in seeing more antique instruments. I'm constantly looking for more. I'm repairing and restoring instruments, and I'm using them in my recordings. So it's fun having friends come over, especially if they've haven't come over to my house in a while, and I can share new instruments with them, and we can have a cup of tea, and I can share this cool stuff that I found with them. So in a way, these kinds of YouTube videos and this channel is, I just want to share cool stuff with you. There's so much cool stuff out there in the world. And I'm not trying to sound like, oh, I don't like video games. Video games are boring. I obviously very passionate about games. I love games, but there's way more stuff out there in the world. There's so much cool stuff. I want to see as much cool stuff as I can. I want to find as much cool stuff. And when I find it, I want to bring it back here and share it with you because it's cool. There's cool stuff out there. Anyway, I'm going to let some music play. Thanks very much for watching. Take care. All right, I'll see you around.